talk about the biggest mistakes I made when trying to make friends, especially in my 30s. And I can tell you, it wasn't the fact that I didn't know how to meet people. I didn't know how to socialize. Like, I was a social butterfly. Okay. It definitely wasn't because I wasn't shy. It was because I always waited till I felt like going. I based my friendships on, I based making friendships on how I felt, on my emotions, how I was feeling, how motivated I was. So waiting to feel motivated, right? Waiting to feel like not as tired after work, right? And most of the time I could tell you, like, without having those things, I usually chose to just stay home and be in my comfort zone, be in my shell. And I believe like my comfort was disguised as self-care, right? So a lot of times we'll describe, describe comfort as, oh, protecting your peace, right? Being in your own element, right? Or I told myself I was tired. I would tell myself, oh, I'm tired. So I'm just gonna recharge and stay home, right? But I feel like a lot of times it was just a cop out. It was a cop out. That was a mistake I did. It was a cop out from not putting myself out there. Because let's be real, like when you are putting yourself out there, it's definitely not comfortable. Like if I think if we all had the chance, we would want to just stay in our own cocoon and like just be by yourselves. But the reality is that it's hard to make friendships if you always stay alone. Like the other day I was reading threads. I was reading a thread post and someone was advocating for their friend, right? And she's saying, oh, like she's behind on rent, and she's needing help. So right away I responded, I was like, well, I mean, if she has a bunch of friends, it's like you guys could rally together and figure out something, like maybe it's pitching into something, whatever it may be. And I understand people are in different levels when it comes to finance, and people are going through hard times, but I was like, oh, this is the time, girl, to get your village together. Because when I was struggling, like, I remember I had a church and they helped me like find a place and all that, so I wasn't homeless. But then right away she was like, no, girl, like it's just I'm her only friend. And right away I responded, I was like, girl, she has to change it up. Like, I'm like, it's like we can't do life alone. And the thing about it is, when we go through something, usually it's when we're going through something, when we're going through hard times, is that's when we're looking for the village. But the thing about it is that those times where you feel like, oh, I want comfort, right? I just want to be in my comfort zone. You have to remember the times. You have to remember why you're doing this, like why you are wanting to make friends. And a lot of times we think, oh, it's just for socializing, but it could also be for getting advice, getting support. Like that is the biggest thing. Like the biggest thing when people need support is usually they're in a place of loneliness. And that's what was happening with that girl, and she never took time to build up that village. So then it gets hard when it's harder times, and then it's harder to ask people for help because then you don't have the people around you, and basically no one wants to help you when you're just reaching out to them. Um, and you never haven't really spoke, and you're just reaching out for help. Like who wants that in their life, right? Um, and so the biggest disservice you could do for yourself when making friends, and I know this was for me as well, was always like waiting, just waiting for the circumstances to change. Like waiting for like if I'm ever gonna stop working, right? I was just waiting for, oh, like if I'm feeling tired, I don't go. But the thing about it is like when you don't go, it's like when you don't go to the things that you promise yourself that you're gonna go to, not only is it a disservice to yourself because you're not keeping that promise, but it's disservicing you from making friends and building relationships. Like the people who you see usually have a good circle is they're outside. They're putting effort to meet people. I'm telling you, like I've seen it. I've seen it in groups. And I'm telling you for myself, they're putting an effort. They're pushing through their tiredness. They're pushing through the discomfort, right? Of feeling like, oh my God, I'm tired. And because the thing about it, there's not going to be a right time. I'm going to break it to you. There's never a right time. And I wish I knew this back then. And the thing about it, what's funny about us, right, is we won't sacrifice our discomfort with things not going our way to do things that will help us in the long run, right? AKA making friends, building relationship, right? We won't sacrifice that, but we would be ready to complain. Oh, I don't have any friends. I'm not making any friends. Oh, like, it's lonely out there. It's hard out there. It's not really, it won't be hard if you sacrifice your comfort. Comfort zone is the biggest killer. Like that was my biggest mistake is I always stayed comfortable. The only reason why I was able to break out of that is because I did a solo trip in Mexico. And I've told this story before. You can go back into the videos. Maybe I'll connect it. But it was only because I went to Mexico and I remember I was in that room and I was actually what's funny is when I went to Mexico, I was actually tempted to stay in the very room that I stayed in. I was tempted to just stay in there and not go out anywhere because I was like so nervous and all that stuff. And I told myself, okay, like what can I do to get myself out there? Right. And I went salsa dancing. And it introduced me to new people, to actually making friends in Mexico, and to friends like bringing me around Mexico, like meeting actual locals. Right. And that's when my eyes opened because I was like, what is different that I'm doing? And I realized, oh my God, I'm going outside, right? I'm doing hobbies, I'm doing things, right? Even though I wanted to stay inside. So guess what I did when I went back to Toronto? Did the same thing, right? I was like, no, I'm gonna mirror what I did in Mexico. And I started going to salsa dances in Toronto, salsa dance classes in Toronto, and then that's how I made friends and started that whole thing. And so the next thing is your emotions will lie to you, right? That's the biggest thing is your emotions will lie to you. Wait, let's remove all this negativity because we don't need that. We don't need weird people up in here. All right. So the next thing is your emotions will lie to you, right? It goes into the next topic. Right. So I remember when I was so this actually hey Alicia, how are you? How is your day going? Hey Yulia, how are you? How is your day going? How was your day today? So right now I'm just talking about just in case, you just jumped in. I'm just talking about the biggest mistakes I made when trying to make friends, especially in my 30s. And the first point was just like the comfort, the whole comfort thing. It's like it's a biggest killer for friendships. And I went into that, and so I'm just going to the next point was the emotions. How emotions just lie to you, guys. So this weekend, and I'm not saying emotions are not valid. Um, but like letting your emotions like rule you can make you make decisions that could jeopardize what you're trying to do. And so this weekend, um, I planned to do something. So I had the Saturday off. And for some reason, I think I just been doing a lot of things. My energy was plummeting. So basically, like, I think by Saturday, I was slowly seeing like my energy starting to go low. Like, I did some like regular work in a day, but then I felt my energy starting to go down. Like, it was like basically a preview of basically burnout. And so by the nighttime came, I was determined because I was like, there's so much dance, like Latin parties happening. I was like, I need to go to at least one. I need to push myself. And the hardest thing that you're gonna go through when you're going to an event or when you're trying to do something where you're trying to put yourself out there is the hardest part is to get off the sofa or get out your comforts or get out of the bed and then basically put your clothes on, basically. Like, and once you, I think the easiest, it gets easier once you get your, once you get your going out clothes on, it gets easier to go out the door. But if you're in your PJs, it's hard. Hey, Jesseline. Hopefully I said that right. How are you? And once you get your PJs and you put your clothes on, it gets easier. So I literally dried myself. So this happened this weekend. And I was like, "Oh, I'm not feeling I just want to stay in the house." But I couldn't let myself do that because I was like, "I can't be staying in the house." Right? And the point was is like I didn't want to leave the house. Basically, when I arrived at this Latin event, this dance party, I looked at it and I was like, "Oh, thank you. Thank you thank you for subscribing." And I looked at it. I looked at the party and I looked at people dancing. There was this like a Latin singer dancing. I'm singing. And I was like, "Oh, I just want to turn home. I should just turn home instead of paying for the ticket." But then there was a part of me that I was like, "You know what? Let me just push myself and stay even if it's 1 hour." Right? And that's something that some of you guys need to do. Like your biggest mistake is basically forfeiting the whole like the whole thing that you're meant to do, like your whole plan. Okay? And I promise you there's something to the story. That's why I'm sharing with you. Sometimes you have to tell yourself, I'm just going to go for 30 minutes. I'm going for an hour. Because the thing about it is when you tell yourself, oh, I'm going to go out for like 5, 7 hours or whatever, it seems daunting. Like I'm going to go out for 3 hours. That seems daunting and makes you want to stay home even more. Right? And that was my biggest mistake is like I would get invited to places or I would want to go to a certain place that I know like I'd put myself out there and I wouldn't go at all. And then you're like stuck back at zero. Have any of you guys done that? Like when it comes to making friendships or like trying to put yourself out there and you basically hold yourself back because you don't end up doing anything and you stay in the house and you're not making friends at your house. Okay? So I ended up staying. And so what I did is I sat down for a while. I watched people dance because I went solo. And and this is a no, is sometimes you have to go solo. You have to start somewhere. Like you can't be afraid to go solo. You don't always need people to go to places with you. Okay. And so here's the thing. When I stay there, eventually like people start to warm up. We started to dance salsa and bachata, and it got really fun. And then towards the end of the night, like so this girl and guy comes into this place, this woman and guy. And he had so much energy. It was a burst of energy. We started dancing, like modern salsa. That was my first time doing that. I haven't done modern salsa. I done like the old school salsa. And he ended up inviting me to like a different event on the Monday. And because he was teaching like advanced bachata. And I remember thinking, and he was so cool. And I started we exchanged Instagrams like with the guy and the girl because they were friends as well. And I remember thinking, like, if I hadn't gone to that event, like, I wouldn't have made new friends. And this is why I want to share with you is like something the very thing that you don't feel like going, there's something good about to happen. Like usually when you don't feel like going to that event or you don't feel like going to that very place, like usually it's a sign that there's something good that's gonna come out of it. Like every time I've went somewhere and I didn't okay, listen, and every time I went somewhere and I didn't feel like going, usually something good came out of it. Something good always came out of it. And I remember like immediately my energy went up. So remember I told you like the whole day I was like dragging myself. And then I went to this event and then it really immediately boosted like my mood, everything. And I'm like, you see, like, and those are the things that you have to think about. Is is like you have to look at what are you going to get out of this. Like I think a lot of times we get caught in our emotions and we'll tell ourselves, oh, I'm too shy or I'm nervous, all that stuff. But it's like looking at the good things. Thank you so much, Yulia. I hope that's your name. um and we forget to look at like what would be the end outcome of me doing that thing. Like instead of focusing, yes, our emotions are valid, and yes, we're focusing on like, oh, like I don't have this friend or I don't have, like I'm very nervous to go, and then sometimes we talk ourselves out of it. Like when we get so deep in our emotions, especially if it's something that makes us feel uncomfortable, and we get so deep in it, sometimes we don't end up doing the very thing that we've been wanting to do. that would help us. And I think what helps me, I just want to share this, is like the biggest mistakes I did in the past was talking myself out of like going to new places, talking myself out of giving myself opportunities to make friends, and then letting how I feel take over. And when you do that, that thing will just keep you lonely and like not making friends. And the thing about the next point is energy follows action. Okay. Most times people believe like, oh, I have to be motivated first to take the action. I have to be motivated first to then go to that friend's birthday or go to that friend's event that they invited me to. Or I have to feel like I'm up for it. But most of the time you're not. Like the thing about I just feel like most of the time, and there's gonna be times you will, but there may be times because life is lifing, adulting is adulting, you're not gonna feel like going to those things. You're not gonna feel like going out to that friend social. And there's gonna be a part of you, the day comes and you're like, oh man, I just feel like just staying in and just like cuddling up. And nothing's wrong with that because I have my days like that. But there's times where I feel that pull and I've gotten to the point where I know, okay, I need to go because I know it will deepen the friendship. Like, how many of you guys know, like the more you meet someone, like the more opportunity is to deepen that friendship, right? To build on that friendship. Like it's very hard to build on a friendship if your guys are hardly meeting or you're meeting like twice a year. Very hard, right? But the thing about it is how it should really work is you take action and then the motivation shows up. Once you take action, you start to build this evidence where you show yourself, you're like, man, I'm so happy I went. You know how many moments I had that where I was like, I'm so happy I went to this outing, right? Because I either made a new friend or I built a friendship even deeper or I got to meet new people or like whatever it was. Okay? And the thing about it is stop rejecting so many things. Like stop taking reject like stop not only rejecting but like stop taking like rejection that you receive as like the end result, like the end for all. Like. And so the thing about it is like the mistake I did is I used to always get easily discouraged. Like when I would invite people to things or try to meet up or socialize, I would get discouraged when people would say no. Right. And then I would be like, okay, I'm just gonna stop asking and throw in the towel. But the thing is that when you do that, when it comes to making friendship, like it just holds you back from making friendship with someone who may genuinely want to be friends with you. I would say the biggest thing is understanding someone else's point of view of why they may have said that or why they may be busy or why they didn't reach out and don't take it so personally. Um and this is something I struggled with for years until one day I was like, you know what? Let me stop taking this personally and let me actually just find out what like that person's going through. And you know what's funny is that once I started speaking to people, and once I started speaking to my friends, and I would find out, oh, like maybe I don't know, like maybe something happened, something there was like family issues or work issues. Then it gives you perspective. Like I remember I had that moment where a friend told me that she was having some type of issues, and then I was like, oh my god, like I'm so glad I asked because I was automatically assuming that it was something about me or it's something that she didn't like about me. And I feel like something that's the automatic place that we go is like when the person doesn't say yes to meeting up or you putting yourself out there, right? Because I know sometimes it could take a lot of like pushing to like go outside your comfort zone, right? And like invite people and try to like socialize. And I remember that was my first go-to where I'll think like, oh, they didn't like me or something. But usually most of the time you'll quickly realize like people aren't in their own worlds. Like they can care less about like anything about you. And it sounds bad, but it's really true. Like usually people are so caught up in their own worlds. Like they're far from thinking like, oh, I don't like this person. I mean, unless their actions say that. But most of the time it's like they're more into their own worlds of what's going on that they don't even have time to think like, "Oh, I don't like Nikia," or "I don't like this person." Like it has nothing to do with that. right? And then another thing too is like sometimes they may be having money issues, it could be work issues, all that stuff, like so many things. They may be having anxious episodes, depression, like there's so many factors, right, of why someone may not be meeting up with you. And I think what's important is when you see people like that is like you don't make assumptions. Your biggest goal right now is not to make assumptions when someone does not want to connect. Don't make any assumptions, right? Treat them like, acquaintances. When you see them on the street, haven't seen them for a while, and you just say hi and bye and you forget about them. I'm not saying you forget about your friend, but meaning like you treat it as if they say no, you leave it alone. You don't go to the place where you start making it internal. You leave it as that, and you say, okay, it has something to do with maybe something they're going through. And you can ask them if you want or find out more, but you'll be so grateful. Like I've saved so many friendships from not making assumptions or being like, oh, I need to just end the friendship. Because a lot of times people are just going through things. And I'm so grateful when my friends open up and they tell me, "Oh, I've been going through this and this," and I'll be like, "Thank God I didn't make any accusations." Like that's how I felt. Like, thank God. So my biggest thing for you is don't make up a story that they don't like you. Okay. And the next thing I want you to do, okay, leading up to mistakes I've done, is you have to look at every invitation. Every invitation is an opportunity. When you don't set the invitation, okay, you're closing doors. Okay. When someone invites you, you need to go. You need to push yourself to go, right? So like if someone like I have a friend that right now she organizes events, like little small events, like walks, just different things, like dinners, and I love that because like sometimes I like to plan, but it's nice to see someone else doing it. And I make my effort on purpose to go to the things that she is organizing. Because not only do I want to encourage her and motivate her to continue doing them, because when I know how it feels when no one wants to go, like it makes you not want to do it. My goal is to encourage her and like help her to keep on doing it. Like I want her to keep on planning those things because I think it's important. So I make it my goal to go to her stuff. And here's the thing is that the more things I've been going to her stuff, the more times I've been going to her stuff, like now we start to talk. Like we talk almost on a daily basis. Maybe not every day, maybe every few days, but we talk quite often, like 3, 4 times a week. And we be sending each other like long voice notes. And the other day I was like, oh my God, I love her long voice notes. Like I don't get to do that with a lot of people. Because a lot of people just text. But I love how she'll send me these long voice notes and I'm like, "Yes. Yes." And that's my friends is the opportunities that invitations can give you. Like when you get an invitation, it's an opportunity. There's a lot of people that don't get invited to places and don't get invited to things. And if you're a person that's saying, I want to get invited to things, you have to make the initiative to make effort, make the effort to go to the things that people are inviting you to or opening the invitation to. That is the biggest thing. Okay. Every time you have to look at it like this. Every time you are attending a dinner, an outing, and then like a friendship event, it's an opportunity to meet new people and it's an opportunity to connect with someone. It's always an opportunity. That's how you have to look at it. There has to be a mindset shift. Okay? When you don't feel like going to something, but you know you're free, it's you have to look at it as a mindset shift. Shift your mindset. Especially if you've been telling yourself, "Oh, I'm not making any friends," and da. You have to go to these things. I'm saying you have to. I know you get to, but you have to be going to these things. It's crucial. And another thing too is you have to stop saying I have no friends. Because when you say that, or saying, "Oh, it's hard to make friends." Like when you say that, it's so negative, right? This is like an identity thing. Like when you say that, like when you say, "Oh, it's hard to make friends," like does it really get you motivated to want to make friends? Like saying it's hard to make friends just tells your brain, "Oh, it's hard to make friends, so I'm not going to put any effort." It makes you not want to put any effort. We have to stop telling ourselves that. And that was like something that I had to like work through over the years. Because the more you tell yourself that, it's like you're gonna be, before you know it, you're gonna look around and be like, I have no friends, because you're speaking it. You're putting it into the existence. Like, start telling yourself, I have no friends yet. And stop saying it's hard to make friends. Oh, it's easy to make friends. Like, the more you get out there and you put yourself out there, and you keep on choosing to take the opportunities, keep on choosing to come out your comfort zone, it gets easier to make friends. Because why would you go to an event? Or why would you go out for coffee if it's hard to make friends? And you go in with that mindset saying, oh well, and think about it, when you say these stuff in your head, it starts to exude out of you. Like, people sense these things. Like, people sense your energy when you're negative. Like, no one wants to be around a negative Nancy. No one. No one wants to be around any negative Nancy. Okay? You have to keep on telling yourself every room is an opportunity to meet someone. I am friendly. I am friendable, if that's even a word. Like, I can make friends. I'm able to make friends. But you have to give yourself a chance. And I think a lot of times we basically remove ourselves from even giving ourselves a chance to even make friends. Like, we already speak it and say, oh, it's hard. It's hard to make friends. Like, we already speak it and tell ourselves that story, and we don't even give ourselves a chance. There's a lot of people that want to be your friend right now. There's a lot of people there's a lot of people who would there's a lot of people who want to be around you, who would be would be awesome friends with you. But if you're always telling yourself like that, you're gonna just hold yourself back, because every time you meet the person, there's gonna be a part of you, like in your subconscious mind, that's like, oh, like, I met them, they're cool, but I don't think we're gonna be friends, because it's hard to make friends. It's not. Like, it's not really hard to make friends if you're putting yourself out there and you're open. Like, there's someone out there that's your person. Just like dating, right? Like, when you're dating, right, for whatever you're looking for, and you keep yourself open, you may meet your person. But it's the same as friendship. Like, we have to have that same energy where we're like, you can meet your person. It's possible to meet people that you click with, where your energy is just skyrockets when you're around them. Like, and you just do things together that gives you joy. You know how many times I was tired? Like, that friend that would, like, she would organize these game cafes. And I remember there was one week where I was so tired, and then like everyone canceled, and it was only me and her. And I remember thinking, like, thank God I didn't cancel. And we all got more time to talk more about life and have more of an intimate, like, conversation. Guys, like, it's just important you keep that mindset where you're like, okay, even if I go for an hour or 2 hours, there's something I'm going to get out of it. You have to tell yourself that is, I'm going to get something out of it. I have to emphasize this because I meet too many people who are Debbie Doubters when it comes to friendships, and they're so negative about it, but they want friendships. How are you negative about it and want friendships? Shame on you. Stop being negative about it. And don't let your past experiences determine your friendship status. Like, what happened to you in the past, deal with it, go to a therapist, but don't let it sabotage your now, your social life right now. That is your biggest thing. Like, don't get me wrong, I've been hurt by friendships, right? I've been hurt real bad, and it made me want to just put a wall back. But the thing about it, you get to quickly realize you can't stay like that. Because then you end up being like alone and no friendships, no fun, right? No friendship equals no fun. Yes, it's good to be in your solitude, but it's so precious to have beautiful friendships. And you have to know, just because one friendship hurt you doesn't mean every friendship's gonna hurt you, right? Put yourself out there, okay? Put yourself out there. Don't be afraid to put yourself out there. I'm just looking at my notes to make sure I got everything. But don't be afraid to put yourself out there. Um, Don't let your past determine your future. My church always says that. Don't let your past determine your future. Know that you are worthy of making friends. You are valuable, right? You have you have precious qualities that someone needs. Like there's someone out there that needs to be in your presence. There's someone out there that needs to hear your laugh. There's someone out there that needs to have the deep conversation they need to have. They need to have that person that has like a similar like interest. Like there, there's a friend out there that needs you. Okay, that's basically what I'm trying to say. There's a friend out there that needs you. You need to get out your house. This is your sign to get out your house. And if you haven't already, definitely check in the descriptions. Get the free friend research journal. Um, it's a vibe. It's a vibe. You'll like it. There's quizzes and everything, and it makes you like it basically makes you like assess your friendships and see the people who are draining you, like especially if you are that strong friend, right? We're trying to make healthy friendships here. But yeah, like let me know in the comments what you think. If you've been through this and like mistakes you've made in friendships. But yeah, I'm signing off. Thank you for watching. Bye.